The next step of the process involves downloading the data set. I've actually went out and gathered the data that we need and put it together and compressed it into a zip file and uploaded it to our Canvas course. And before we go out to download it, we actually need to figure out our file management system. So recall earlier I mentioned that ArcGIS has a little bit of a learning curve, and that's because there's some things that kind of like common things that most GIS users know about that maybe someone who's not very fluent with GIS may not know about, and that file management actually matters. So in ArcGIS, you're not going to want to download and put your files into your documents or into your My Documents. It actually prefers to be very close to whatever your root drive is. So on this particular computer, there's a whole bunch of drives installed. So if I decide to put it on my C drive, it's not going to want to be in some, several nested layers of folders. It wants to be as close to, the top, close to the C as possible. So in this particular case, I'm going to save it into my E drive. And inside of my E drive, I have a projects. And then this is where I put all of my projects related to my classes. The other thing that GIS is also very particular about is it doesn't like its file or folder names starting with a number. So if you're someone who likes to number your folders so that when you open them up, they're listed in a certain order, that's not going to work so well with GIS. So the other thing it doesn't like is special characters like this folder has. I have an underscore and a dash, and it also does not like very long names. So it prefers names that are less than 8 characters. So here, this is where I have it set up, and you can see it's only 4 characters long. And if I go inside of here, this is where I'm sticking all my GIS files. And inside of there, these are the different types of GIS files I can have. So this is how I've decided to set mine up. The other thing that ArcGIS doesn't like is working off a network drive, such as OneDrive or Google Drive. You can, of course, always upload your files there once you're done, but it prefers to work off your computer, and the reason why is if there's some kind of network lag or something going on, it will actually crash GIS. So in the middle of a long calculation or analysis, it could die and it could be very frustrating. And sometimes the geodatabase can get corrupted and you may find yourself starting over. Which leads to my last point, and that is ArcGIS 10 on up prefers to have all of its files located inside of an ArcGIS geodatabase. So with all that being said, let's go out and grab our data. So over here in our Canvas course, I'm going to go into Files and into Lab, into Storm Sewer Analysis, and over here I've created a zip file. I can go ahead and download that. And since I've already downloaded mine, I'm not going to download it twice. It's going to take quite a long time to download. But I'm going to stick it inside of my projects, and I'll download it to here. And as you can see, I already have it downloaded. Once I have that zip file downloaded, I actually need to unpack it. You can unpack it using the Windows zip utility, but I find that if it doesn't unpack correctly or there's a problem, it doesn't really report to you that there is. So you'll be working along in ArcGIS, and then for some random reason, some incomplete data set will crash on you, and you won't even know why it's crashing, because when you went to unpack it, it never told you that there was an error. So what I like to use, and most GIS people will do this because, GIS files are pretty large, is they'll use something called 7-zip. So you can go to 7-zip.org, it's free, you can download it. I go up here to this top one here, which are the more stable releases. And I just installed this very top one. It's very small, and it's pretty handy to have if you're working with large files. It will also compress files for you. It will also work with Linux files, a wide variety of different kinds of files. So it's up to you if you want to use this. I recommend using this for unpacking very large zip files. Once I have 7-zip installed, the next thing I can do now is go in here to unpack. You'll notice that right above this thing that I need to unpack, I have a file that's called .7z. .7z actually does a much like the native, this is the native 7-zip compression extension here. If you can't see your extensions after your files, you can go up here to view and check in file name extensions, and you can also check in to see hidden items in case you have any of those, and it will show your file extensions. So here I wanted to explain that 7-zip is the native format for that 7z is the native format for that 7-zip application, and it does a much better job at compression than regular zip does. So if you need something that's more efficient, again, 7z is the way to go. So I use normal zip in case somebody wants to use their Windows zip. So all I have to do here is right click on this, go to 7-zip, and then I can choose extract here. You can also choose extract files if you want to be particular about what you're extracting or where you're extracting it to. But since I already downloaded it where I wanted it to go, I can just choose extract here.